Again, let's look at the drivers. Steve Reynolds out of Seattle. He is due for a victory. Ron Snyder, always steady in the Holset Miss Madison. You never know about them. Scotty Pierce and the Budweiser Griffon running very well now. Jim Kropfeld with a great shot at it, the '84 national champion. And Chip Hanauer hoping to tie history today. Looking at the rundown, the Miller American, the Budweiser Turbine, the Bud Griffon, the Miss Madison Holset, and the 7-Eleven. The All-Stars are here. All 5 boats are now running for the start of the final here in the 1986 Budweiser Gold Cup. Oh, look out. It looks like the Bud Griffon ran out of room coming around the turn. Scotty Pierce still keeps it going. Look at the water churned up by all those boats going around the start. Bernie Little upset to see one of his boats back quite a ways, but here comes the start. It is a legal start, and it is Ron Snyder in first place in the Holset Miss Madison going into the Belle Isle turn. From high atop the Detroit Towers, you see the lead by Ron Snyder against the other boats. The Turbine boats in second and third place as they come around. Coming up on lane number 1, it looks like it's the Miller American coming around the turn. It is Chip Hanauer and the Miller American trying to chase Garwood's Ghost, possibly winning his 5th straight Gold Cup. He won his first here in Detroit in 1982, and he is screaming down the back chute as his father, Stan Hanauer, watching from the Miller American camp. Look at the air under the boat, the water flowing the boat around as he comes around that tight rooster tail turn on lap number 1. The Miller American with the sun setting. Here's the 7-Eleven going around the same turn and heading down the main chute. The Budweiser Griffon, Scotty Pierce fighting his way back into the pack. The Budweiser Turbine, Bernie Little again rooting on his group. And here's Ronnie Snyder in the Holset Miss Madison. The Miller American from our right turn camera as you see him come down the straightaway right into your living room. Moving into second place out in lane number 2, Kropfeld out of Cincinnati and the Budweiser Turbine. Look at this race. 2 of the veterans in this sport. Hanauer on the right, Kropfeld on the left. The 2 turbines coming down the main chute and heading towards the big turn. Speed on lap number 1, 122 miles per hour for Hanauer. But he is being pushed by Kropfeld and the Budweiser Turbine on the outside. A rooster tail lead right now for the Miller American over the Budweiser Turbine and Kropfeld. Again, the water very bad as they go around the Belle Isle turn. It usually settles down now as they go out away from the beach and go down the back stretch. They'll come up near some more choppy water now as they get near the Detroit Yacht Club. The Miller American crew watching as much as they can. They really can't see the far turn from the pits down at the Rooster Tail turn. Here comes the 7-Eleven coming up and challenging Ron Snyder. The 7-Eleven lost power momentarily, but there's your race for first and second. 2 veterans, as I said. Kropfeld on the right, a 25-year veteran, and this man, Chip Hanauer, who has been a world champion several times and has a chance of doing it maybe in '86, but right now all he's thinking about is getting that 5th straight Gold Cup. The crew got the boat ready, and right now he's in first place. Again, the difference you saw between first and second. The 7-Eleven with Steve Reynolds moving around, due for a victory. This boat, one of the best turning boats in the circuit. New sponsons, a new air intake, as you see, after the Miami problems they went through with the heat and humidity and salt water. The Miller American in first place, Chip Hanauer. Many people have tried to compare him with Garwood of the 1917 through 1921 reign. Kropfeld giving chase, but there's really very little resemblance between the two. Garwood, an industrialist in Detroit. Scotty Pierce, as you see, coming around in the Bud Griffon. Chip Hanauer, a full-time driver now, race driver, who also has a degree in special education. Steve Reynolds in the 7-Eleven. He's currently in third place. Kropfeld still pushing, really not giving Chip Hanauer any breathing room whatsoever. One slip and he's going to be in second place. The speeds are really picking up. For Hanauer, 126 miles per hour. For Kropfeld, 125. So he's staying right with Hanauer, hoping maybe that Miller American might break and he'd have a chance at winning the Gold Cup here in Detroit in 1986. Fran Muncie, now the owner of this boat. Chip Hanauer driving for Fran, and of course, the man who Chip Hanauer looks up to the most is Bill Muncie, a man who won many times, of course, here in Detroit and throughout the United States, the winningest driver ever. Hanauer still in first place, the winningest active driver in limited plane hydroplane racing, going past the Detroit Yacht Club, where it's always very, very choppy and very narrow as you see him come around and the skid fin digging in and the water settling down somewhat as Hanauer is riding along just fine, and the team beginning to sense that maybe they can tie history and go along in the record books along with Garwood of the early 1900s vintage racing. Chip Hanauer in first place. Second place, Jim Kropfeld airing out the Budweiser Turbine, trying to catch Hanauer. Here's the Bud Griffon overtaking fourth place now. He is now in fourth, and the Holset Miss Madison dropping back to fifth. Back down the main chute again. Hanauer coming towards a right turn camera and the Belle Isle turn. The speeds, he can keep it up here as he goes around this big, broad turn. He's averaging about 124 miles per hour in that Lycoming 7 turbine engine. Likewise for the Budweiser Turbine, same engine, different kind of style boat though, configuration totally different. And again, Hanauer concentrating. He calls this the Yankee Stadium of boat racing, the Super Bowl, all molded into one when you race in Detroit. The 711, look, it's lost its entire back wing. The support's leaning against the tailpipe. And here comes the Bud Griffon on the inside, taking over third place. The 711 going to have to limp home without any kind of stabilizer wing in the back. And he has now fallen into fourth place. But here he comes. He is going to tie Garwood's record. A 65-year-old record is now tied by Chip Hanauer in the Mid-American, winner of the '86 Budweiser Gold Cup. Second place in a great effort on the part of Jim Kropfeld and the Bud Turbine. Let the celebration begin. Well, about 65 years ago, the same celebration took place in the same pits. Miller-American, winner of 5 straight Gold Cups. Second place, Budweiser Turbine, then the Bud Griffon, the 711, and the Holset Miss Madison.